joining us here this afternoon. My name is Enrique van der Westhuizen, and it's my privilege to chair this meeting of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. Today is Tuesday, the 7th of December, 2021. It's now gone 16:30, and we are meeting to deliberate on Vote 11, Department of Agriculture, the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill B6 of 2021. Honourable members, would you please be so kind just to introduce yourselves to ensure that we are indeed quorate?
Good afternoon, Matlodi Maseko, member of the Standing Committee.
Welcome, Honourable.
Bartman.
Welcome, Honourable Bartman.
Goedemiddag, Pieter Maree, lid van die komitee.
Goedemiddag en baie welkom, achtbare Maree.
Afternoon, Chair again, and all present. Pet Maran, member of this committee.
Baie welkom ook aan u, meneer Maran. Achtbare lede, soos ek gesê het, ons gaan vandag die begrotingspos 11 bestudeer. So we're going to deliberate on vote 11. I have not received any apologies, and I have seen that Dr. Meyer is online. Dr. Meyer, a warm welcome to you as well as to your team, Dr. Sebupetsa and others. And if you wouldn't mind, just perhaps sharing with us some introductory remarks on vote 11, and then we'll dive deeper into the consideration of vote 11 itself. Most welcome, and we're all ears. Thank you, MEC Meyer. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members of the Standing Committee, as well as to the colleagues from the Department of Agriculture, as well as Casidra, who is present in this meeting. And thank you for this opportunity to present and defend vote 11, Department of Agriculture Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2021. Members will recall that I have tabled my main budget, vote 11, Agriculture, in March to the amount of 909 million rand. And today I'm presenting an adjusted appropriation bill of 910 million rand to the Standing Committee Chair for consideration. My head of the department, Dr. Mogale Sebupetse, and his senior management who are present in this meeting will then therefore also detail and provide the reasons for the adjustment appropriation, as also presented by the Minister of Finance in the adjusted estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure 2021, as he has recently tabled that in the House. So, Honourable Chairperson and members of the committee, I will therefore now allow, through the Chairperson of the committee, an opportunity for the head of the department to present our adjusted estimates for vote 11 2021 agriculture to the committee. But first, back to you, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Minister Meyer. And as you've said, over to you, Dr. Sebupetsa.
Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity to come this way this afternoon. I have requested the Chief Financial Officer to share the presentation with the members. It's about 5 slides that will take you through in terms of what movements have happened and for what purpose. If you permit, I would like to ask that the CFO take us through the presentation, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, and please do.
Chair, thank you. Well, here we are. First, we have the ministerial priorities. The Minister has referred to it in other areas already. So we just start with that because that is always our introductory point. Chair, the adjusted estimate consists of three forms of additional funding and one of where we decreased. So the additional funding, we start with the rollovers part of it, which is 4,698 million, and the The detail of it is 1.473 million for program 1. For the RPAS, 1.215 million towards program 4, that is for medical waste and export establishment audits. 1.034 million towards fodder, diesel and repairs for program 5. 414,000 to feed the students and 562,000 towards service provider for social research amongst agri workers. Chair, what we call reprioritization, in other words, we cut for this year, but we get it back over the MTEF. It's 10 million rand for river protection works, and that is mostly due to EIAs and unforeseen things that it couldn't always spend in the 1 year. Revenue retention, Chair, that is last year's revenue where we when we gained more revenue than we budgeted for. And there is 604,000 rand towards program 1, that's for biometric equipment and power generators. 762,000 rand for a map printer and a pump for nurseries and drones for program 2. Chair, then continue the 78,000 rand towards computer equipment program 3. 700,000 rand for the CRT, that's the chemical residue testing facility for program 4. And 2.795 million for an oven and laboratory and a tractor for Tygerhoek Research Farm. Chair, then there some more for computers and biometric readers and 36,000 rand towards another bit of computer equipment. Chair, you will see there's quite a bit towards computer equipment. That is because there is basically a global shortage at the moment of laptops specifically. There's some chip that is not readily available. So a lot of the things we wanted to buy last year and we actually ordered last year still didn't come. So we had to ask for it to be rolled over or from revenue retention. Increase in own revenue, in other words, Chair, this is revenue in the current year that we see that is already exceeding or in a process of exceeding the budget. It's 1.5 million rand again towards the chemical residue testing facility and 301,000 rand in preparation of the ostriches for auction. Chair, then those are the origins of what we have. The environments, in other words, is between programs. It's between what we call main divisions. That was to the amount of 10.298 million and 1.062 million from program 1 to program 5 and 7. That is the new DDG appointment and bursaries. 65,000 rand from program 3 to program 5. That's for fodder for the use of some of the program 5 animals. 3.215 from program 5 to program 4. Again, you will see the acronym CRT. It's the chemical residue testing facility. And then 4.646 from program 6 towards programs 1 and 7. Chair, that is a temporary shift of the agri-processing away from program 6 where it should be, just to accommodate some HR rulings to be finalized, and then it actually will be shifted back. Then the 310,000 rand, as we refer to, is for fodder, and 1 million rand from program 8 to program 7. That's for bursaries and accreditation applications and private lecturers. There were various shifts within the main divisions, Chair. That's now from one line item to another line item of around nearly 105 million rand. And Chair, just to summarize it all, you will see it here per economic classification within the programs, and the total will also give you an indication that we've shifted about 18 million rand towards capital, 10 million rand towards transfers. That you will see in program 3 specifically, where 10 million rand was taken away from COE and most of it was added, or all of it was added to transfers. And then it's been funded by goods and services and the shift from COE. Chair, that is the short version of this. So obviously, we are open to questions. I just cannot see hands, so if there are any hands, if the chairperson can just indicate that we can answer. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Huishamer.
Yes, sir.
Honourable members, there's now an opportunity if anyone would like to pose questions to any of the Minister, the HOD or Mr. Huishamer or any of the other officials that you believe might be able to assist. May I then just ask Mr. Huishamer, you've said that some money would be channeled to the preparation of ostriches for sale, which I presume you are putting these animals on auction. Is it so that the department tried by breeding animals to improve the quality of the ostriches? And I presume this would then be a unique Western Cape initiative, because it seems to me that the Klein Karoo and the Southern Cape is the epicenter of ostrich farming. I also recognize the hand of Honourable Maran.
Thanks, Chair. Last time, Chair, I can recall we have also sold some bulls, cows, planning to board a specific tribe. Yeah, it is ostriches. Look, Chair, I only got one issue. I think it's 10 million rand that's been shifted. 10.4 to be specific, from agricultural producer support and development. That's under COE. That's now been shifted to
Transfers.
Yeah, to transfers. Now been shifted to transfers. Chair, I just wanted to understand the impact it will have, Chair. I've heard, for instance, from other committees, local government, where there was a downwards adjustment of 6 million rand for drought support, and the provision will be made in the new 23-22 MTF for that money to be placed back. Here is 10 million rand, Chair, for agricultural producer support development. The impact it will have on that specific vote, and the impact it will have basically on that specific portfolio. Thanks.
Any other questions, honourable members?
Chairman, if I may.
Honourable Murray.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to know, I know that the whole issue about labour agreements, I don't know if it's completely been settled now or not, but is this the right time to cut into your COE? I see that, is that the 10 million? Is that been taken away from salaries and wages at a time when we are still trying to finalize the wage agreements which National had with the unions, or is it not affected by that?
Thank you, Honourable Murray. Any further questions? Honourable Maseko, and I presume that Honourable Maran's hand is still from the previous question raised. Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to find out the allocation of the River Protection Works program. Does it include also the research for dealing with the alien plants within those rivers? One, and two, how is the department working with the local government, maybe the municipalities, in their special planning to make sure that you don't get somewhere where they, for example, the informal settlements that are close to the rivers, that the dumping is happening, and that causes our rivers to really be polluted? Is that something that they are looking at, or is there something that in a way they're working with the department or the municipalities and the Department of Environmental Affairs and Planning? If I can get it, the clarity on that how do they work together as intergovernmental relations. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Maseko. Any other questions, honourable members? If none, perhaps I can just express that I'm wondering about that oven that you're about to purchase. Ek wonder hoeveel beskuit kan 'n mens aan hom droog, and what makes that oven so special. I'm just glad that not all the ladies have seen the specifications of that oven. But with that, then over to you, honourable, not honourable, I don't know if honourable Minister would like to come in first, but otherwise then Dr. Sebopetsa.
Chair, can you hear me now?
Still, Honourable Marais, we can hear you. It does sound as if you and your microphone are quite distant from one another, but we do hear you.
Can you hear me now better?
It's still the same microphone, but we hear you. You can continue.
I'm trying to amend my settings, but let me firstly thank the members for the various questions. Obviously, my department and the officials will provide the content, but I think there were some questions that require context. Honourable Member Marana has referred to the issue of the bull program. As you're aware, we have a very effective bull program, and it's correct, we have handed over some bulls to farmers there in the Overberg region last year, specifically also to improve the genetic material of those farmers. And as you know, after 3 years, those bulls come back to the department so that we can also then have that program going to new farmers again. And Dr. Chris de Brouwer and Dr. Ilse Troutman is running a very effective program to support our farmers in this particular regard, and I'm very proud of that bull program. But there was, Chair, you also mentioned the issue of ostriches. I think in Oudtshoorn we have about 67% of all the agricultural businesses that are happening within the Oudtshoorn area, agricultural-wise, is actually based in the ostrich industry. And as you know, the ostrich industry was severely affected in 2012 as a result of the avian flu, and that had a devastating impact on the ostrich industry during that time. This is for us a very special industry, and as you know, the Western Cape is also a home of the only ostrich research farm in the world. So the ostrich industry, the ostrich research is very much leading from the Western Cape into the global village. And I have also met last year with the South African ostrich industry, as well as with the Oudtshoorn Chamber of Commerce. And our conversation was about how do we increase our global footprint for ostrich export. And so I've approached the Premier to ask him if he would allow us to host an ostrich meat tasting ceremony at the official residence of the Premier at Leeuwenhof, because some of these ambassadors have told me they didn't even know you can eat ostrich meat. And so the plan is to invite some of these ambassadors to which the South African ostrich industry wants to export, so that we arrange an ostrich meat tasting ceremony. And I would also like to invite all the members of the standing committee so that we can also increase the local demand for ostrich meat. As we know, it's very healthy from all standards. I therefore also think the issues that you have raised, Chair, in terms of the oven, those are technical issues that my officials are ready to answer. Also the issue of Honourable Member McCloddy in terms of the river protection. This is a very important program. The whole issue of climate change. We are taking this now much more seriously in terms of the alien vegetation, but alien vegetation also needs to go hand in hand with river protection. And I'm very glad that we have now a very successful river protection program. We have handed, for example, over the Holsloot River to the Water Users Association there in Rawsonville, after we've spent about 78 million rand in terms of that river protection. So in short, Chair, given where we are in terms of the ecological infrastructure project, This is a project that will get renewed focus in the next 10 years. We've done outstanding work and it will certainly continue. And Chair, I will now hand over back to you because there are some of the other questions the HOD is also willing to answer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. And over to you. I see Honourable Maran's hand has been raised before we hand over to the HOD.
No,
Dr.
no,
Sibupetsa.
Chair. Chair, I just wanted to say that I almost could not hear the Minister. And I hope, Chair, that the 1.8 million rand upwards adjustment that will be used for laptops and other equipment will really assist the Minister in the next meeting. Maybe his laptop. I'm not sure what's happening on his side.
Okay, can we now first hand over to Dr. Sibupetsa? Sorry, I see there's another one before you start, Dr. Sibupetsa. Honourable Bartman.
No, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to give some input on the IT. I do know that some other ministers in committees also have quite soft sound, so it might simply be the system on their laptops that they're using, because I've only encountered the soft sound when ministers join in on the meetings, as they're also external on the MS Team platform. Thanks.
Good, thank you, Honourable Murray.
Thank you. Before the Minister responds and the head of department, I'd like him to add also what they're doing about snail farming, which we discussed this in this committee, and the Premier said he's prepared to look at it again. We had research done on the West Coast to go into snail farming with a huge export market in France. I'd like to know on the back of the ostrich research, how far is the department with the research and the finalizing of snail farming?
Thank you, Honourable Murray. Is that all?
Yes, sir, that is all.
And it seems to me you want that research to go a little bit faster than the snail's pace. Okay, so Dr. Sibupetsa, over to you.
Chair, thank you very much for the questions. I want to ask my CFO to respond to the question raised by Honourable Maran and Honourable Mare around the 10.4 million. I think that question is pretty much aligned. So if the CFO can respond to that. The question on the ostrich, I'll ask Ilse Trautmann to respond to that, just to add to what the Minister had said. But also to say to you, Chair, the specs of that particular oven was looked at by one of the ladies in the team, and she will tell you more about what specifications you're talking about there. Honourable Maseko, your question, I think Minister responded to it, except to say the following, that we definitely work with other departments. For instance, environmental affairs and development planning is very key to the work we do when we talk about this type of infrastructure, but obviously municipalities as well, because as you can imagine, all this work takes place in the municipal space. On the snail farming, Honourable Mare, I want to say the following, that I'm aware of the great work that has gone into this around the research, obviously work that may not have been championed by ourselves, but championed by other people in the space. I'm aware of a great farming, snail farming in the garden route that I visited, I think about a year or so ago. The challenge with this kind of farming is that if you don't have an uptake from the farmers themselves, it doesn't matter what knowledge or expertise there is. If farmers don't take it and start seeing it as a way of making money, then it becomes very difficult. But I'll also ask Ilse to respond to that. If we can start with Flores and then Ilse and then maybe Darrell, if you want to add on infrastructure, ecological infrastructure. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Huyshamer, and perhaps you can also at one or other time unshare your screen.
Chair, thank you. Yes, I have unshared. I hope it's better now. Chair, thank you. Yes, the COE is specifically a cost funding that we get every year, and we have to double up because I nearly want to say it is a best technical thing that you cannot. The cost funding you can only bring in, grant funding in other words, you can only bring in as a project, and at a project you cannot budget for COE. So we have to double the budget and then we turn it around, and we in other words, it has no impact, number one, on the people we have. But then we use the money and we put it back at transfers, and that is again for the settlement of black farmers where it should be. So it is more a technical thing. We are still arguing on how we can actually start it from the beginning of the year. Then we do not have to do this every adjusted estimate time. But that is the long and the short of it, and it all happens, as you will see at the last. Well, I've now taken it off, but my last table where we had the economic classifications, you will see it was moved from COE to transfers, and the transfers are used for settlement of the farmers. The Chair, yes, okay, that is, and that actually answers both Mr. Maree and Mr. Maran's questions. Thank you.
Ilse, please respond on the ostrich and the oven.
Good afternoon, honourable members and Chairperson van der Westhuizen. Good afternoon. Let me just respond to the ostriches firstly. Every year we have an ostrich auction, and the number of birds we sell at the auction varies between 80 and 100 birds. And those birds are selected on their genetic quality, and the characteristics that we select is the ones that's most sought after by the farmers, and they would like then to buy these ostriches to better their material on their farm. Now, we then have to feed and prepare these animals to quite a substantial amount, and then after the auction, we then have an income retention, and that was agreed by the department and the ostrich industry many years ago, that any money coming from the auction will be put back to research. So the amount that's in the adjustments estimate is the amount that we obtained from the auction in March 2021. In terms of the snails, yes, HOD and Chairperson, and also Honourable Maree, snails are one of the very niche farming activities in the Western Cape. There are two large snail farming operations, one in close to Knysna that the HOD also referred to. Their name is Goshen in Knysna. And they also give training to farmers if farmers would like to start growing snails. The other operation is in Simondium, also looking at the export market, but as I've indicated, it is quite a limited demand locally, and once you start farming with snails, you have an export opportunity, but it has not taken off to a large extent in the Western Cape. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further responses?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just one from my side in response to Member Maseko's question. Alien clearing is definitely considered in the river protection works, and however, I want to indicate that every solution is not necessarily a construction one. What we do is we do a feasibility study where a river morphologist will determine if a structure is required for rehabilitation, and then alien clearing is the first step if there is an infestation of aliens. So I just wanted to share that as well. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I have not commented on the question about the oven. Thank you, Dr. De Brouwer, for reminding me on that. Yes, that oven was to be bought by the unit plant or the Directorate Plant Sciences. But if you look at the amount that's in the budget, it's 2.7 million, and that was for a tractor and the oven. Now, the tractor amounted to about 2.2 million, which leaves about 500,000 for this oven. It is a plant laboratory oven with very specific settings and specs, and it also has very, very high safety features because the plant material to be dried are dried at a very specific temperature for quite a substantial amount of time. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Dr. Troutman. Any other questions or responses? I do recognize still the hand of Honourable Marais. I don't know if it's a legacy hand that you still would like to take down. Honourable Marais, I can just say you referred previously also to the snail farming, and what you actually disclosed was quite disturbing in that it seems to me that the then Department of Social Development, not Agriculture, funded a project on the West Coast to the tune, if I remember correctly, of some 10 million rand.
And that was in 2007 already, sir.
Yes, yes. And I don't know if you've been able to gain any further information on that. So please come in, Honourable Marais, and then after you also Honourable Maran again.
So there's a lot of money to be made, especially cosmetics. The snails farm, there is a factory being established in Mossel Bay already. They're making this face cream for women. Apparently the snails, the liquid what you find in this snail is good for the skins of women who's very concerned about the image and appearance. Also in France, they promised us, the department, after we gave them 3 million to do the research, that they found a market which will make the Western Cape have a revenue income of 27 million rand a year. And now we hear nothing about it. I think it was inter-party wrestling between the DA and the ANC which sabotaged this whole project. And I want both of them to be held accountable because we wasted 3 million rand on research which is now gathering dust on the shelves of some department. So I would have liked to know, why did they stop this project if there's already a market of 27 million, which they promised the Western Cape will benefit by, and if we already spent 3 million to get this report done, why did they stop?
You're on mute, Chair.
You're on mute, Chair.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Over to Honourable Maran.
So the Honourable Marais is blaming the ANC and the DA without giving more information whether this project was stopped. But maybe at the next meeting we will get more information. If it's not bees, it's snails. Chair, just on the response of the 10 million rand and if you, and one can see basically it's a sideways shift. It's still within the same item, but just sideways to transfers. And therefore you will see that particular item line, I think is more or less the same. The amount that was been budgeted before is more or less the same. Now, it's been said that the monies is now be transferred to transfers, and it will basically used for the settlement of when the word black farmers were used. Now we know, Chair, last year, COVID funding to assist black farmers, and when Casilla basically put out an advertisement, there was an instruction by the MEC to withdraw. Not only to withdraw, but also to apologize to white farmers, because it was said that we cannot use color anymore to basically to assist. And here I heard the word black farmers. Even, Chair, when we basically have dealt with the issue of the annual report, and specifically referring to Casilla, the entity of this department, We were then told that they haven't used the BEE scorecard, meaning that some of the contracts that's been awarded were awarded to wrong or individuals or companies because of the point scoring, the BEE scorecard that was not used. We were told in that particular meeting, and we also know that one individual was basically fired. In the firing line, has been fired because of that. And it seems there's no checks and balances within Casidra. How are we assured that these 10 million rand will be used for only black farmers? How sure are we, knowing the previous experiences, both by the MEC giving an instruction that we cannot use basically a color to distribute funding and to support farmers, but also how Casidra basically went about when it comes basically to contracts, the process that they follow, not using the BEE scorecard. How can we trust Casidra with the rolling out of this particular project to make sure that black farmers and black farmers only benefited out of this?
Honourable Marie, I recognize your hand, but can I just ask, and thank you to Honourable Baran, who brought us back to the budget and the spending of the budget. I see you've lowered your hand again, Honourable Marie. Thank you very much. Can I then, Honourable Baran, I think you can lower your hand then as well. Can I then first ask Minister Meyer if he would like to respond to the political questions, and let's then leave the questions of a technical nature regarding the budget then to Dr. Sebopetsa and his team. Would you like to come in here, Minister Meyer?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Can you hear me now?
Still unchanged, unfortunately, but if we listen clearly, or if there's not a lot of background noise on the honourable member side, I'm sure they would be able to hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, and I will try my best to speak closer to the mic here. I think let me first respond to the issue of the snail. What I hear and the response also from the HUD and our programs and our research support demand-led research. We support demand-led needs from the sector. So sometimes there might be a big demand, but if there's not an uptake by these farmers, that's what the HUD has referred to. So if there's a big demand, it must not be a demand defined by us, but by the private sector. Economic development must be demand-led, and so certainly we will look into that. The issue of this government and the political issues that was raised here by Honourable Member Maran, for us is very clear. This government, myself, we are on the record officially that we support redress. We support the policies of this government is to support redress. Nothing will change because of the historical legacies of this country. And so we will support, but we will not support any programs during COVID-19 that is specifically only for one race. I certainly cannot support that. And during COVID-19, there was a specific advert that says, let's support only black farmers during COVID-19. I'm absolutely against that. I'm on the record on that. Everybody is suffering as a result of COVID-19, and we must support everybody during COVID-19. But there are some programs in this government that are linked to some specific supports. For example, we have a commercialization program where we want to bring 50 emerging farmers to make them also in the mainstream, to have commercial farmers. That's what we are busy with, and that support is ongoing, both financial support, technical support, and mentoring support. For that, we do not apologize, given where we come from as a country. That is the right thing to do. And I think we have seen that when the national government promotes black economic empowerment, it is not to help the masses. It is absolutely for personal enrichment. It is a form of corruption, theft, and maladministration. And the records for that we have seen before the Zondo Commission, and we will not apologize for that. But the reality is COVID-19 affected everybody in South Africa, black, white, and colored and Indian people, and this government is on record. A global pandemic must make no distinction on the color of your skin. And in fact, we have such policies in South Africa that makes a big difference in building the nation. For example, social grants. There's a means test for social grants in South Africa. The SASSA don't ask, are you black, white, colored, or Indian? There's a means test, and everybody, irrespective of your race, who qualify for the means test does get those social assistance. The same goes for NFAS. Everybody that is past the means test, irrespective of your race, that qualify for that assistance will get a student loan. And so this is the direction this country must move in. But we must have a hybrid system. We must acknowledge there are historical injustices of the past, and for that there are redress programs which this government support, and we will continue to support those particular programs. For example, the wine industry. It cannot be that more than 95% of the wine industry in the Western Cape are in white hands. And therefore, you need to have a program of redress. And this department is committed, this government is committed, my party is committed to redress in those particular circumstances. But the BEE model of the ruling party in South Africa that advanced personal enrichment, put the majority of people in poverty and enrich the few political elite, that is a tool and an instrument for corruption that we are certainly dead fast against. COVID-19 brought pain and suffering to millions of people around the world, and it is this government's plan of action to support everybody, irrespective of your race, to support the means test, and that's the policy of this government. And for that, we are very proud, because that is in line with international standards, that is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. And so internationally, the benchmark is there, and we're following that particular practice. South Africa is a signatory to the Sustainable Development Goals, and this policy architecture of this government is in line with international practices. Thank you, Chair.
Good. Thank you, Minister Meyer. Dr. Sebupetsa, any further responses from your side?
Chair, thanks. I think Minister responded sufficiently to the question. If I may just touch on the Casidra issue, I remain very convinced that Casidra is doing excellent work. In fact, all the audits that had come our way in terms of Casidra's performance have cleared whatever misconception there may be out there about the performance of that company when it comes to support to farmers in the Western Cape. So I thought I must just clarify that point. Otherwise, Minister has clarified the point in greater detail. Thanks.
Thank you. Honourable Moran, still on the budget?
It's still on the budget, Chair.
Please proceed.
It's still on the budget. Minister, and we have spoken about BEE and some of the procurement that will take place, Chair, within the last months to the end of March when it comes to Casidra. And what I've said, Chair, it came out in the annual report that we have discussed. And it came out there that Casidra have not used basically the scorecard. It's facts. It's not things that's been made up. It's facts. It's there. One person was fired. And that's the reason why he was asking whether we can trust Casidra to make sure that black people benefits. You know, Minister, and you were saying that you will not allow a situation basically when it comes to COVID support that only black farmers benefit. Vinpro came out very strong and asked national government to intervene and to assist black wine farmers within the Western Cape. Vinpro came out very strong because it's them basically that feels the brunt of this pandemic. they don't have those buffers, generational wealth to make sure that they can basically overcome this pandemic. It's them that feels the brunt, and it was for that reason, basically, why the national government have said, let's focus on this specific group and to make sure that they basically stand the test of time. Spoke about BEE and a process or a system to basically impoverish some of our communities. Your government, Minister, proposed when it comes to farm workers to opt out from the minimum wage and accept a wage that is equal to the old age pension grant, which is 8.5. Is that not basically an attempt to keep people in poverty? Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Moran. I think Minister Meyer has made his position quite clear, and I don't think we need to dwell on national initiatives such as the BEE. I think Minister Meyer has put his position, and I would like us to come back to the matter at hand, which is the adjustments to the budget. Honourable Murray, again, would we be able to discuss the adjustments to the budget in order to decide for this committee to decide whether we support or not?
Yes, I just wanted to know so that there is money being transferred. An additional 7 million was given through variants to households. Now, I'm not sure what is meant by households. Are the people getting food parcels? This money whereby they increase the budget for households to 7 million, what in terms of a variant. Can they just explain what it was for? How was it spent on households?
Chair, can I ask my CFO to respond?
Thank you. Please proceed.
Chair, if Member Marie can just refer me to the page, I would just like to have it under eyes so that I can just recall.
Please assist Honourable Murray. The 700,000. Honourable Murray, can we assist you? Do you want Mr. Huishammer to beam up his presentation again, or are you referring to the adjustments appropriation bill as per the schedule? Mr. Murray, are you still online? Sorry, Honourable Murray, are you still online? It seems to me as if Honourable Murray may have some trouble unmuting.
Every time I have to switch back to the program. They have a figure there where they say households additional appropriation for 21-22, and then it says that there was a variant and shifts of 3 million, which adjusted appropriation then is 7237. Are they now with me? 7 million. I want to know what is that? What was that funds used for? Payments and estimates per program and per economic classification.
Do you perhaps have a page number, Honourable Murray?
It would be good if we know the page number.
254.
254.
254.
Thank you.
Can I get to this? It's page 254.
And it's the page number at the bottom of the page that you're referring to.
That's right.
Chair, thank you. I found it. It's actually it's an addition of 3 million rand. The total, it moves from 4 million to 7 million. The 3 million is mostly for bursaries, and because bursaries goes through as transfers to households. And that is what it was mostly for. Thank you, Chair.
Good. Thank you. Good question. Thank you for responding to that. I think, well, I can understand how bursaries and households can lead to some misunderstanding. Good. Honourable members, I now want to put to you the vote 11, for consideration by this committee. Is there support for this vote?
I propose that we support it, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Marais. As proposed, Honourable Bartman, I recognise you.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to second that we support the vote.
Thank you. It's been proposed and seconded. Any other views, Honourable Maran?
Yes, Chair, this states not to support. And if it becomes the minority view, as per section 19 of the standing rules, the minority view to be captured within the report. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got 2 members that already expressed support. We've got 1 member that, Honourable Maran, you are not in support of the vote.
That's correct.
Thank you. It seems then as if the majority support the bill, and can Honourable Maran's view also be reflected in the report, please? Good. Okay, before we consider the report then, which is committee business, I would like to say thank you very much for the presentations. Minister Marais, it seems to me as if you would like just to have some concluding remarks.
Yes, Chairperson.
I think that he's going to feel a bit that you don't like his surname. He's Minister Mayor, not Marais.
Oh, my apologies.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's been a long day. Thank you, Honourable. It's Honourable Marais, and it's Minister Meyer. Minister Meyer, over to you.
Chairperson, firstly, because my family has a 40-year relationship with the former Premier of the Western Cape, Honourable Member Peter Marais, I certainly don't mind the mix-up of the surnames, as he is regarded as part of my family and my family history and my family tradition, for which I respect and salute his long-standing political career and traditions here in the Western Cape. So that for me is rather an honor and not a dishonor. I want to thank the department and members of the committee for the consideration for the adjustment appropriation. And thank you also for members for the year that was under review, very difficult circumstances. And thank you for passing the main budget. And thank you for expressing also support for the adjustment appropriation. And also, like, on behalf of the Western Cape Department of Agriculture, I wish to wish everybody, members of this committee, a happy and a prosperous festive season to both you and your families. And we're certainly looking forward to meet up with you in the new year. And my wish is that we will certainly come back fresh and certainly work together in a spirit of taking South Africa and the country forward, and even the differences that we have in this committee. I'm very happy that there's no animosity, not even between myself and Honourable Pat Maran. These are different views and different political persuasions, but in the end, we can still enjoy a cup of tea. And to you, Chair, thank you for the work that you do, as well as the committee secretariat for the support. And we're looking forward to the debate that will be taking place on Thursday in the House on vote 11. And thank you, and may God bless you.
Good. Thank you very much, Minister Meyer. Also from the committee, and I believe I speak on behalf of the members, we say thank you very much for this year. Thank you for the constructive way in which we could engage. And we wish you and the officials from the department everything of the best for the remainder of this year. I know not everybody can go on holiday simultaneously, but I think that, for those of you that are able to take some time off, we trust that it will be a time where you can spend quality time with your loved ones, and that you would be able to come back fully rested at the beginning of next year. Thank you very much, honourable members. You must please remain. Officials, you are free to leave, as well as to Minister Meyer. Thank you very much for those kind words again. and also to the officials for the way in which we could engage. Honourable members, I'm now going to ask them whether there are any members of the public that also would like to make an input. I haven't had an indication of any members of the public, but just for the record, none. Good. Then can I just ask our procedural officer to beam the draft report onto our screens for consideration? Thank you, honourable members. We have then therefore the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on Vote 11, Agriculture, in the schedule of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill B6 of 2021, dated the 7th of December 2021 as follows. The Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, having deliberated on the subject of Vote 11, Agriculture, in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill B6 of 2021, referred to it in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. In accordance with Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view that it does not support the vote. Honourable members, the report is in front of you. Can I get your views on that? Honourable Bartman?
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem with support, Chair. The report is a true reflection of the meeting. I support.
Thank you, Honourable Maran. Unanimously then adopted. Honourable members, are there any resolutions or actions that you would like to propose stemming from this meeting? None?
So I would have liked to reformulate a resolution that we do not go into another lockdown because it will hurt food production, adversely affect food production in this country. I think that the threat of a new lockdown, and with all its implications for the wine industries and everything else, that it's time that we as a committee find consensus on it. It's not in the interest of the Western Cape, especially. We've already been hit by tourism. We can't still be hit in terms of food production and availability. I haven't drafted such a resolution, but there's a lot of lawyers here in this committee and intelligent people, more intelligent than me, that could quickly draft something to the effect. And I think that would be a good gesture.
Thank you, Honourable Marais. Honourable members, may I just point out that we've got some 2 minutes left of this meeting. If I heard Honourable Marais correctly, he says that we as a committee would like to express our support for agriculture being an essential service, and that we call on government to continue to classify agriculture as an essential service despite this new wave of COVID-19 infections. I see a number of hands. Does it relate to this proposal that emanated from Honourable Marais?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Honourable Maran, would you like to add?
I thought listening carefully to the Honourable Marais, he would have said it's not in the interest of the country, but he stopped short by saying it's not in the interest of the Western Cape. Because if you look at agriculture and the exports that goes to the Western Cape, and I think it's like in 45% of all basically agriculture products that's been exports within the country goes to the harbour of Cape Town. And therefore, Chair, I would ask the Honourable Marais basically to amend this proposal to say it's not in the interest of the country, but also to remind him that even at the level 5, the agri sector basically was declared an essential services, and farm workers basically through this pandemic had to make sure that the country don't go hunger. But I fully support, Chair, we hope there won't be an upwards adjustment when it comes to the lockdown levels. The country cannot afford it. Yes. And we hope, Chair, when the President is going to speak, that there won't be an upwards adjustment. To speak about holidays, Chair, last year I could not went on holiday because of I really want to go now, especially basically with the decision by your overseas countries that have a ban on us as a country. Maybe, Chair, you can speak there to keep nature, to lower their prices, not to end up with nothing, but to end up with something. I want to go on holiday. I want to go to Kogelbai. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Maran. And I presume the honeymoon suite is waiting for you. But can I ask that we just restrict ourselves to agriculture, and that I thought it would be good if we just say that we appreciate the fact that agriculture has been classified as an essential service, and that we from our side, express the view that this was the right decision by the national government, and that they should remain with that decision, despite any other measures that may be considered. But I think it's best if we don't express ourselves on other areas of the COVID response as well. Agreed to? Honourable members, thank you very much. If that is then the last proposal from honourable members, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for this year. Thank you for your cooperation and support. A particular word of thanks, and I think I speak on behalf of all 5 members here present today, if I thank our support staff, Nomfundo, Mshumpelu, our ICT staff, but then also a particular word of thanks to Ms. Shireen Niekerk, who has really ably assisted me in all regards. And then, honourable members, I must tell you, the temptation was extremely high for me to say that this is the only committee in which we don't mind if the minister talk bulls. So thank you very much. From my side, I want to say I hope you will all have a wonderful time, and that you will always be able to get some well-deserved rest as well. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
I noticed.
Thank you, and thank you to you as well, Chair, for your leadership throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. You're the best.
Thank you very much, Chair. You are